the profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the president of the Medical and Health Workers Union, who also doubles up as the president of JOHESU. Also, I'll be speaking with the Minister of Health. He will be giving us update analysis on why the medical health workers are still on strike and probably the way forward. Join me. It's good to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure meeting you again.
A lot has been happening since JOHESU actually commenced on an industrial action, and it's been different stories from different quarters, different stories every day on the news media. Top of it at the moment is the court order that we actually read on the pages of the newspapers. How are your members reacting to this court order that says health workers should go back to work?
Thank you so much. First, I want to state here clearly that, just like you said, that it's been on the pages of papers and all that, no order has been served to us. As I sit here, till today, this day being the 24th day of May 2018, an order has not been served to me nor my partner, my vice president. We are taking aback when people are saying, oh, that we have been served court order. Anyway, our members have been calling. They called when the story came up, and we said we have not been served. And I think the zeal of our people to fight this suppression and oppression in the health system is strong, so strong that they are ready to go on. More so, since we have not got a court order, so we're on.
So since the strike actually started about 5 weeks ago, how many times have you met with the government?
I would say when we talk about meetings that actually took place, because some will come one thing or the other will shift our ground, but the ones that we have entered into discussions are not less than 5, including the one of last Tuesday, about 6 meetings.
Okay, so since there has been 6 meetings, the last meeting which took place on Tuesday, can you tell us what the outcome of this meeting? Is there any green light?
I will not say there is a green light because nothing actually changed. However, we were asked, what's the way forward? What's the way forward? And we told them, well, the way forward is you asked for 3 options. You gave us 15% we rejected. You gave us 20% 20% we rejected first. Then you gave us 25% we rejected. There you now said we should justify why we are asking for the figure we are asking for. And we said we have justified that in 2014. We justified that in 2016 when Ocholi came to the scene. We justified that. And then in 2017, we justified that before we entered that agreement of 30th September 2017. Now you are asking for justification, we will. So we went, in order that we don't give them the excuse, we went and we made a 2-stage PowerPoint presentation. At the end of the day, the Minister of Labor, who is the chief conciliator, demanded that we should bring 3 options for consideration. We sent the 3 options where, for the sake of Nigerians, for the peace of Nigerians, we decided to even lower our demand to 45%, which are at the highest point, and then down that way, to the point that it now culminated into reducing the original figure from 22.6 billion per annum as additional figure, worked by the Incomes and Wages Commission, to 16 billion. So we were thinking that would be a good sign for government to also catch in on. But government surprised us before that Tuesday meeting. Government surprised us by showing high level of, can I say, if permitted, can I say, insincerity or dishonesty in the process by now coming to give us 15%. That is to say, hey guys, we're not ready to end this crisis. So we gave you 25. Now we are giving you 15. Take it or leave it.
Talking about court orders, how many court orders has the federal government actually obeyed as regards this issue?
Thank you for that, you see. To be very candid, even within the health, we have over 8 rulings and judgments that the same federal government, the Ministry of Health to be specific, have failed to obey. Even when they try to obey the skipping ruling or judgments in 2017, we got the judgment in 2013, and they refused to obey it until 2013. We got the judgment in 2013, but by 2017, they decided to obey it because they have decided to implement it illegally to doctors. That was when they decided to now implement it haphazardly for our members. They are not, even not all members have been implemented for. But again, guess what? The doctors were not entitled to that. The government had money to pay that illegal payment. The doctors were not entitled to that. Incomes and Wages advised with a circular that this item is not to be benefited by doctors. The judgment is for GSU members only. So please do not give to doctors. Yet they violated that, and they now gave it to doctors. And they also provided arrears, 1.5 billion for arrears, to pay arrears for the doctors, skipping, illegal skipping. Now, for us, even with the amount that was proposed, the 22.6 billion that was proposed by Incomes and Wages, it required just 1.8 billion a month as additional cost. But that cannot be raised. But when it is time to raise money to pay what is illegal to the doctors, it is done.
Moving forward, we all know that there is an Ebola outbreak in some African countries. At this point, don't you think you should go back to work?
Yes, I feel so bad that the government allowed this to continue to this level. I think in serious countries, the Federal Ministry of Health, knowing fully well that our demands are genuine demands, would have come in to solve this within the shortest period. Because we also rolled out, and mind you, we decided to prevent this strike action a long time. It's been since 2014. And up to even when we now started the strike that culminated in the agreement in 2017, which took about 9 days, we decided that if the government is serious, we will prevent this strike action. So for 6 months, we were playing the foolish man position. For 6 months, we were playing the lazy man's position by not reacting, even when provoked. Even when time after time, we were told stories that turned out to be untrue. We were, for the consideration of Nigerians, for the consideration of the effects that will come after when we embark on strike, we were very slow.
Okay, moving forward, we'll be talking figures, and here I have the proposed figures that you've presented to the Federal Ministry of Health and Federal Ministry of Labor. And by the figures that I can find here, this is for 2009, 2014, then we have the one you're proposing for 2018. And from what I have here, it shows that looking at the commerce to commerce, it shows that the medical doctors at entry level, which is level 12, yes, was receiving 260,000 naira. And while the nurse or other health workers were receiving 118,000 naira. And by the time they went on strike in 2014 and the government actually yielded to their demands, they started receiving 312,000 naira. And while the health workers still was pegged at 118,000 naira, which puts up the difference to 194,000 naira between the entry level of a medical doctor and that of a senior health worker. Now, moving to 2018 now, the medical doctors, of course, are still receiving their 312,000 naira since 2014, while the health workers are still receiving the same 118,000 naira. And now you are proposing that the government should increase it to 165,000 naira, which will make the difference between the entry level of a medical doctor and that of a health worker, a senior health worker, to 147,000 naira. How is this equality?
That's the thing that amazes everybody. It's begging for answers. Every day people say, even the minister say, we're asking for equality. We have said we're not asking for equality, we're asking for equity. We had a particular difference, which was 142,000 naira difference by 2009. That was implemented in
by 2015, it's 194,000.
94,000. So all we are saying is, look, we had a gap, 142,000 naira gap, that we were not complaining. Now you have increased this to these people. Why not also bring back that gap? That gap that was existing, that was comfortable, there was peace in it. Why not bring it back?
For industrial harmony.
For industrial harmony. Now, that is what we've asked for. How would that be equality? How would that be equality? I'm amazed.
What do you think can trigger a quick end to the ongoing strike?
Thank you. For we, as much as we are reluctant to embark on the strike, whatever we'll do to make the strike end quick, we are ready. But one thing we know, we have lost confidence in the current negotiations.
So are you saying that to end the strike, you want to speak with the president?
We want to meet with him. He has been hearing from other sides. He has not heard from us. Fairness, fairness demands that when your children, or you have problem with children, see the children, hear from the children directly. Because the people who are reporting to him are all interested parties. The minister is a medical doctor. Even the minister of labor is a medical doctor. So who else will report to him? So for him to get to the truth of the matter, and for Nigerians to know the truth, he should avail us that. When NARD was on strike, the ministers took them to Mr. President. When NMA was on strike, they took them to Mr. President. What is wrong in taking the 5 registered trade unions? Those are not even registered trade unions. What is wrong in taking the 5 registered trade unions and APA that make up JSU to the president? Is he not our father anymore? The president is not for anybody, it's for all. So they should try to also make him belong to all of us.
All right, we'll continue this discussion with the Minister of Health shortly. It's good to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you, Sharon.
A lot has been happening in the health sector, especially when it comes to the joint health workers strike. And there has been several meetings between the government and JOESO. I would like to ask you, how would you rate your negotiation with them?
It's been tough and protracted. As of Tuesday, JOESO declined participating at the negotiation. They kept us waiting for 6 hours. And at the end of 6 hours, we got a letter from JOESO telling us that negotiations actually broke down. But let me also say on a positive note, they came back to the table on Tuesday, and at the meeting, they started talking again. But there are some other developments since negotiation broke down. First is the court ruling by the National Industrial Court, which JOESO denied. Initially, JOESO said it's fake news. Later on said they were not served. But then the Honorable Minister of Labor and Employment really challenged JOESO to say, if you are not served, why are you asking for a stay of execution? Can you really ask for a stay of execution or appeal against the judgment you denied being served? So I think at the end of it, common sense will prevail. I think the bottom line, which to me is helpful about the court ruling, is that the court is saying, go back to work and negotiation should start within 72 hours. As a responsive and law-abiding administration, we have responded to the ruling of the court. We have invited USU back within 72 hours, and I'm quite optimistic that the story will soon come to an end.
But if Joesu is saying that they've not been served, for me as an individual, I'm not taking sides, but an industrial court probably has given its verdict. But for me as an individual, from my observation, is the patients that are actually paying the price.
Correct.
So how do you think both parties can come together to ensure that there's a final solution? Because from the information I have, the president of Joesu says there was a meeting on Tuesday and he wouldn't say there's any positive feedback because figures were not encouraging. Government says they cannot pay for what they're requesting for.
USU is asking for 22 billion. In the series of negotiations,
they said it's 16 billion now, not 26 billion.
USU started with 22 billion, and we said right away, when you look at the 22 billion table, USU was asking for pay parity with doctors, and we said no. They came down to, I think there are three, they gave us three options. They came down, there is one that is 20 billion, there is one that is, I think, 17, which is the option 3. And we looked at it.
Not 16, 17?
I think it's about 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
They told me 16.
Yeah. I don't have the exact figure there, but we have 3 options. And we've also moved up from 3 billion to 6.4 billion.
Look, talking about the parity that you mentioned, I got a paper from them.
From Joesu?
From Joesu.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And it's about their own comparison between the medical doctors and an average health worker at entry level. And from what I see here, the difference between the salary from 2009 to 2018 has been 142,000. Sorry, to 2015.
Between 2009
to 2015 has been 142,000 naira. And by 2015, when the federal government actually raised the salary of the Nigerian Medical Association, that is the doctors at entry level, the difference is 194,000 naira. That is, at entry level, a medical doctor receives about 312,000 naira.
It depends on where the medical doctor is working.
From the tertiary level, federal tertiary.
There is something fundamentally wrong with what USU gave us. At one of the meetings, USU started from 2009, and I said, no, if you really want to look at relativity, you don't start from 2009. You need to go back. In fact, we need to go back to 1960 and then look at the trend over time. What the doctors got in 2014 was as a result of 5 years of agitation to say, look, we must restore relativity. Relativity was there over the years, but it was lost along the line, and that created a problem.
But they said there was industrial harmony in 2009 when there was a difference in the salary of about 142,000.
It depends on who is looking at the concept of the industrial harmony. What we need to look at, USU is looking at total package. We're looking at the basic pay. And what USU has done is to assume that the doctor will earn all the allowances, so they padded it. And we are saying that what you need to compare is the basic pay, because where the parity came is the basic pay. The basic pay that USU presented originally, which was the 22 billion, was the same as the one for the doctors. Every other allowance is a reflection of the basic pay. So once you move, you see, it's deceptive to say that, no, when you add it together, it is X, it is Y. Oh, we're asking for a revision of the... Well, once you adjust the basic, every other thing will be adjusted.
But as a layman, for me, I'm not in the medical sector, and I know of nurses in some states in some states in Nigeria that receive as low as 50,000.
Some doctors receive as low as 70,000, even in the private sector.
But so would you say that that's justifiable?
No, I wouldn't say so. And that's why we are in support of adjusting the pay of USU members. We are in support. you've never heard me saying that we must not revise their pay. What we are saying is that we must revise it in a way that there will still be some relativity. Before now, it used to be up to 1.5. Even the 6.4 billion we're offering USU, the relativity will come down to almost 1.1.
But the difference is still very much clear, whether we look at it from the federal, state, or local government level. So, because the impression most people have on the street is that the medical workers are asking that they want to have equal pay with the doctors. That's the impression that is sold out. Like, you want to earn the same as a doctor.
You want to earn the same basic pay. It's the same basic pay. That's the one. Because like I said, if we adjust your basic pay and it's the same, any allowance that is derived from your basic pay will also be adjusted. Because we now need to look at, there are nurses who earn call duty allowance, there are nurses who earn shift allowance, there are nurses who earn both. And once you adjust the basic, every other thing will also be adjusted.
Nigerians are not receiving the best of healthcare at the moment.
That's
whatever,
not in dispute.
And whatever is happening between the federal government and the joint health workers, I am of the view that we should find a solution that would, right now as we're talking now, Ebola, there's an outbreak of Ebola in some African countries.
Only one, not some.
In one country. If it's just one, what are the measures that the federal government is actually putting in place to ensure that if anything happens, that Nigerians will be safe?
We are putting in place measures. You know that. We're screening incoming passengers. We've activated our emergency operations center.
Without the health workers?
We have a team. The deported workers are working. We would not want a facility to be locked by anybody. So if a CMD cannot make the facility function, that CMD will be accountable to us. We've asked them to employ ad hoc staff. Emergencies must function. Children emergency room, labor room, ICU, and the outpatient. The accident and emergency, ICU, children emergency room, labor ward must function. And it doesn't matter whether it is doctors that are on strike or it is non-doctors, emergencies must function. In fact, even in wartime situations, we must never shut down emergencies.
It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
And that's all we can take on this edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.